So you fired those 12 people. They were experts on Iran, were they not?
I don't believe so.
They worked in counterintelligence, did they not?
I'm taking you at your word, sir. I'm not familiar with every
You're the
single
chief
word.
director. I'm not. You should know the answer.
This wasn't loud, it wasn't chaotic, but by the time it ended, the damage was already done. It starts like most hearings do, quiet, procedural, almost forgettable. Then Representative Steve Cohen leans forward and asks a question that sounds simple, too simple. He asks Kash Patel about a group of FBI agents, not just any agents, counterintelligence agents, and more importantly, agents connected to Iran-related intelligence work. Now here, why that matters. These weren't paper pushers. These were specialists, people trained to track foreign threats, espionage networks, and potential attacks tied to Iran. The kind of people you don't casually move around, the kind of people you definitely don't lose right before a geopolitical crisis. So Cohen asks the obvious question, were these agents Iran specialists? Patel pauses, and then he says something that immediately changes the tone of the room. I don't believe so. That answer doesn't sit right, not with Cohen, not with anyone paying attention. Because this isn't a junior official, this is the director of the FBI, so Cohen tightens the question. He doesn't let Patel escape into uncertainty. Were they counterintelligence agents? Patel responds again, but this time it's even weaker. I'm taking you at your word. Right there, that's the moment the hearing shifts. Cohen leans in, no raised voice, no theatrics, just one line that cuts straight through everything. You're the director, I'm not. You should know the answer. That's not just a comeback, that's a turning point. Because now the conversation isn't about those agents anymore. It's about whether the man running the FBI understands his own decisions. And Cohen knows exactly what he's doing. He starts building pressure, not with emotion but with structure. He introduces the timeline, step by step, carefully. These agents weren't just reassigned randomly. They were removed right before tensions involving Iran escalated, right before the kind of moment when intelligence becomes critical. Now the question changes. It's no longer just what happened, it becomes, why would you remove the very people trained to handle the threat? Right before the threat becomes real, Patel tries to regain control. He leans on uncertainty, on classification, on not having the details in front of him. But here's the problem, that strategy works behind closed doors. It doesn't work in a public hearing, because every "I don't know," every "I'm not familiar," doesn't just sound cautious, it sounds like a gap. And Cohen keeps finding those gaps. He circles back again, same topic, different angle. Were these agents involved in counterintelligence? Were they tied to Iran-related cases? Did their removal impact readiness each time? Patel gives partial answers, careful answers, but never complete ones. And slowly, Cohen builds a narrative, not by accusing but by letting Patel's own answers do the work. The narrative is simple and dangerous either. You made these decisions and don't fully understand what they affected. Or you don't actually know what's happening inside your own agency. Neither option reassures anyone. And that's what makes this exchange powerful. There's no explosion, no viral shouting match, just pressure, sustained, controlled, relentless pressure. At one point, Cohen subtly reinforces the stakes. These weren't just bureaucratic roles. These were positions tied to national security, to foreign threats, to real-world consequences. And the implication hangs in the air if those capabilities were weakened, even temporarily. What does that mean for U.S. preparedness? Patel never directly answers that. He stays within safe ground, avoids specifics, deflects where he can. But the absence of clarity becomes the story, because in a hearing like this, what you don't say can matter just as much as what you do. By now, the room has shifted, you can feel it. Cohen isn't chasing answers anymore. He's reinforcing a conclusion. He repeats the core issue in different ways until it sticks, until it's unavoidable. The director of the FBI was asked about critical personnel decisions involving national security and couldn't give a clear, confident explanation. That's the takeaway. And Cohen makes sure it lands. No dramatic finish, no final outburst, just a steady, deliberate close that leaves one question echoing long after the hearing ends. If you're in charge, how do you not know this? If you want more breakdowns like this, where we strip away the noise and show you what really happened in these hearings, hit subscribe. Because moments like this, they don't go viral for shouting, they go viral for what they reveal.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Director Patel, you had a question from Dr. Jackson about the shutdown we're in now with Homeland Security, and I believe you said that this would be harmful to America because of the threat from Iran. Is that correct? Do I recall that correctly?
Generally, yes, sir.
How many days before we invaded Iran did you know we were going to launch an invasion?
We can get into those details in a classified setting, but I work with my colleagues across the spectrum here to give me advance warning so that we can reinforce.
Was it 2 days, 3 days, a month?
It was sometime before that, sir.
Sometime before that. So you had not. With that knowledge, why did you fire at least a dozen agents in Counterintelligence Unit 12 that specializes in Iran counterintelligence, which makes us much less secure and safe with this war going on from Iranian attacks potentially against our country?
As I said earlier, Congressman, I don't work on timelines when these terminations occur. There are internal investigations conducted by the careers at the FBI that highlight unethical or inappropriate conduct, and it's up to me to make the decision. But our Iran Threats Mission Center has never been more resourced, as I've highlighted, a 43% increase in counter-espionage arrests from Iran alone, and 360 ongoing terrorism investigations with Iran-affiliated individuals.
And the people you fired, those 12 people, they were experts on Iran, were they not?
I don't believe so.
They worked in counterintelligence, did they not?
I'm taking you at your word, sir. I'm not familiar with every
You're the
single
chief
word.
director. I'm not. You should know the answer. You fired the people. Where did they work?
People were terminated for violating their ethical obligations and the high standards.
Was
that
the
we
ethical
have.
violations that they dealt with the case of the classified documents that were found at the bathroom in Mar-a-Lago, was that the ethical issue?
As I said earlier, all those matters are pending litigation, so I'm not going to comment on them.
Director Gabbard, are you familiar with CI-12?
I'm not, Congressman.
Okay. Let me ask you this question. In the intelligence community's unclassified annual threat assessment from last year, it said, quote, Iran's large conventional forces are capable of inflicting substantial damage to an attacker, executing regional strikes, and disrupting shipping, particularly energy supplies through the Strait of Hormuz. It seems the IC was entirely correct in its assessment about Iranian retaliation in the Strait. Did the IC's assessment about the Iranian capabilities in the Straits of Hormuz change in the past year?
No, Congressman.
Does Iran still have the capability to threaten shipping in the Straits of Hormuz with missiles, mines, and small boats?
Their capabilities have been largely degraded, but yes, they still have means to threaten passage through the Strait of Hormuz.
And how long can they keep the strait closed?
Based on current events, I'd have to get an updated assessment from the intelligence community on that.
Did you have an analysis of the impact of a war on global supply chains and the price of oil and gas?
I believe that assessment may have come from the Department of Treasury or Energy.
It didn't come through your office.
It came from their element within Department of Energy or Energy.
Do you know if the president was briefed on those assessments?
I believe so, but I can't confirm.
So if he was briefed on those assessments that that was a problem and the Straits of Hormuz could be shut off and that's causing a great problem in the world's economy with oil prices going up to, I think, under $120 or something a barrel and an effect on all countries' economies, why would the president not have taken actions to strengthen defense around the Strait of Hormuz?
All I can say is that the president ultimately is responsible for making the decisions based on the totality of information and intelligence that he has available to him.
The intelligence that he has available to him, that's a scary thought. Does the IC know where Iran's enriched uranium is?
The IC has high confidence that we know where it is.
And can you tell us that in classified?
We can speak more about this topic in the classified setting.
Okay. Could it be, we have methods of destroying it?
This is a conversation for a closed setting, sir.
Do you have any idea what the purpose of the Marines being sent, the units that are being sent over there, is the idea that we will put troops with boots on the ground in Iran?
ODNI and the IC is not involved in the operational planning and movements of the Department of War assets.
Thank you. I'll be very honest with you. When you made your original comments, it was kind of scary because of all the craziness that goes on in the world. I can't wait for the classified setting. Thank you.
Now here's the key political risk. If Patel can't clearly and consistently explain these decisions moving forward, he loses control of that narrative. And when you lose control of the narrative in Washington, someone else defines it for you. Critics will frame it as incompetence. Supporters might call it overblown. But the longer the questions remain unanswered, the more space there is for doubt to grow. And doubt politically is powerful because it doesn't require proof. It just requires uncertainty. So where does this go next? There are a few paths. 1. Patel provides more detailed explanations, possibly in classified settings, and manages to stabilize the situation. Congress doubles down, expands the investigation, and keeps the issue in the spotlight. Or, the story evolves beyond the agents themselves and becomes part of a larger debate about how intelligence agencies are being run. And that's the scenario with the biggest impact. Because once that happens, this stops being a personnel issue. It becomes a political flashpoint, one that can shape public perception, influence policy discussions, and potentially define reputations. And it all traces back to that moment in the hearing, where a simple question turned into something much bigger.